what should we do today? It's a beautiful day.
It is a beautiful day. Well, I was thinking Green Up Day is coming up pretty soon here in Vermont.
Yeah. You don't have that in Boston.
We don't. So we should tell the kids what that's all about.
Let's do it.
So it's a day here in Vermont when people take time to just clean up the roads.
Yep.
You can just walk, around where you live and pick up trash, and then the communities will gather it up, and it's a way of greening up the state.
And this year it's a little different because we do have a virus that's going around, so it was postponed. So it's happening next weekend instead of it would have been a couple weeks ago. But we can do it early and just have our rubbish, roadside trash ready for when the pickup time happens.
I think that's a great idea. There's no reason to crowd together to clean up the roads when we could really do that any day.
That's right. We can do it, and maybe we won't even bump into anybody while we're out and about.
It's true. Okay.
So what do you need for Green Up?
Let's see. We will need socks and shoes, sturdy shoes.
Right.
We will need gloves.
Okay.
We should bring masks.
That's a good idea. In case we bump into anybody, we can quickly put them on.
Definitely. And we will need a trash bag.
And you will also need a parent or an adult to be with you. Now, we're both adults, so
we're just going to
go. But we're going to take our little doggy with us.
Yeah, and we'll supervise him. All right, let's get ready.
I'm ready.
I think we're ready.
I think I'm ready. Have you got your hat?
I do, because I want to remember not to touch my hair or my face while I'm wearing these gloves.
Oh, yes. I shouldn't even touch my hat, probably.
That's true.
And we've got our masks on.
In case we run into any of our neighbors. We want everyone to stay safe.
We've got sturdy shoes.
And we've got bags.
And we've got bags. I think we're ready.
Let's go.
Let's go clean up. Much did you get?
We only went like less than a quarter mile from our house, and we found all of this.
Oh my goodness, that makes me so sad.
It makes me sad, but this was pretty easy. It makes me feel pretty good that we could just go out and fix it. Well, after that little adventure, I thought you might like to sit down and relax outside with me and read a little story. This is a true story about an artist named Tyree Guyton who uses some different materials in his work. He sees possibilities in places where other people might not. This story is called Magic Trash by J.H. Shapiro, illustrated by Vanessa Brantley Newton. A winter chill whooshed down Heidelberg Street. Young Tyree Guyton buttoned his coat. Pop! His last button flipped into the gutter. He dove after it, then dug through the frosty leaves. He pried a popsicle stick from the ice. He hoisted a bicycle wheel off the curb. He scooped up a baseball cap buried in the snow. Pockets clanking, Tyree darted home. A home on the east side of Detroit that already bulged with 10 children. This reminds me a little bit about what happened when we went just into the ditches on the side of the road and started finding lots and lots of stuff. Shop around, Tyree sang along with the radio as he unloaded the day's finds. His mama didn't earn enough money in sewing and cleaning to buy new shoes, much less bikes and balls. So he zapped fun into amazing junk that others tossed away. Popsicle sticks became boards to build a house. The cap soared like a rocket ship. The wheel bounced, spokes jumping, dots danced. Let rockets fly, boards tower high, bounce, jump, and dance, magic trash. Tyree barely heard the thump-thwack of his brother's games while he dreamed up designs. In school, he sat alone drawing pictures. When his report card arrived, his aunt asked, "Is Tyree dumb?" "Maybe crazy," his mama whispered. Oh boy, I don't know about that. Then, one sunny day when Tyree was 9, his grandpa Sam, a house painter, plopped a brush into his hands. "Paint the world," Grandpa said. Tyree dipped into Grandpa's cans of color, sloshing purple, slapping yellow, aiming his brush like a magic wand. Abracadabra! Tyree's shyness vanished. Sweet apples crunched when he glopped the red. He'd never seen Lake Huron, but now it splashed in a pool of blue. "Like new," Grandpa said of a glistening ladder. Tyree smiled and swirled a shade of green. Other kids on his street giggled and razzed. "Look at his green face! Ha! Green junk!" Still, as Tyree zoomed from bent bottle caps to rusty wheels, Grandpa Sam's words swirled in his head. "I'm going to be an artist," Tyree said. Mama hung her head. "That is not a job." He peered into Grandpa's twinkling eyes. Tyree clenched his brush. He would be an artist. Yes! Brush greens and blues on wheels and shoes. Slosh, slap, and splash, magic trash. At age 12, Tyree squinted into spiraling smoke as National Guard tanks rolled down nearby Mount Elliott Street. All his life, neighbors had raced out of town to live in new suburbs. Now some who had stayed exploded in rage like shaken bottles of Verner's ginger ale. Tyree gawked, teeth chattering. Rioters were burning buildings in his neighborhood. Now, that page is a little bit confusing. Let's stop and think about what's going on here. The words say that all his life, neighbors had raced out of town to live in new suburbs. Why were people racing out of this neighborhood? I'm noticing that the book shows that there's trash around and that houses are being left to fall apart, and it seems like the city and the mayor and the government are not helping to take care of the neighborhood to make it a nice place for people to live. So people who can leave are leaving and leaving the neighborhood behind. Then it says, some who had stayed exploded in rage. Exploded in rage means they became very, very angry and they were rioting. Rioting is one way when people are very angry and frustrated with what's going on, that they sometimes show that. They were frustrated that the city was not helping to make their neighborhood better. And so Tyree saw that there were riots and people were actually burning buildings down. Now, did that help it to get better? Maybe not. It did make people notice what was going on. I wonder what will happen. Let's see what Tyree decides to do. When he grew to be 16, Tyree too left the shapes and hues of Heidelberg Street to seek a new life. He marched as a soldier. He inspected cars in a factory. He doused fires as a firefighter. But he never forgot about painting his world. So he enrolled in art school to learn more about colors, lines, and designs. At last, Tyree bolted back home to Heidelberg. When he returned, though, his street had changed. Houses sat deserted, creeping with spirits of owners who had run away from the neighborhood. Tyree tripped over lots and lots of trash. And troublemakers lurked. They snuck into hollow houses. They even set fire to one. Ooh, spirits swirl, new troubles whirl, kick, burn, and hurl magic trash. No, cried Tyree, not on this street. His mama still lived in the same home. Grandpa Sam painted pictures inside now. Tyree grabbed his brush and burrowed through rubbish. He cast spells on suitcases, toilets, and a slide trombone. Before the colors dried, Grandpa Sam hurried out to help. They painted a busted bus, they tied shoes to trees, they flung broken down bikes and cast off tires on burned out buildings and forgotten yards. They painted faces of God in blue, black, and orange. Their street sparkled. When trouble still sizzled in one discarded home, Tyree coated it in dots and squares of pink, blue, yellow, and purple, then perched a magenta watchdog on the porch. Dopey dealing thieves hustled from its view, chased away by bright paint and barking trash. Tyree named one home Dotty Waddy and another Fun House. Spying hungry, crying children, he dangled broken baby dolls on telephone poles and rooftops. Dolls sobbed with each puff of wind. Maybe now others would see. Bright colors flash, scared dealers dash, bark, cry, and swing magic trash. Some people squawked about garbage. A few neighbors complained to the city. The mayor and his helpers stomped. Soon, bulldozers roared up to the project to crush every doll and board. This is very odd to me. It's making me think that before, when the neighborhood was just falling apart and there was trash in the streets and buildings were collapsing, the mayor and his helpers weren't doing anything to help. But now that Tyree was trying to take care of the neighborhood, suddenly they came in to tear it down. Oh my, let's see what happens. You can't do that, yelled neighbors as dust swooped to the treetops. Get out of here, others screamed. Tyree's trash is beautiful. Tyree scrambled to snatch a few pieces. This is my art, he cried. But the dots and stripes and baby dolls lay bashed and smashed and still. Tyree rubbed his eyes. Grandpa poked at piles. Old houses talk. Some neighbors squawk. Crash, bash, and smash magic trash. Art had filled Tyree's and Grandpa Sam's lives. Now, at 93, Grandpa Sam had grown too old to help. Never stop painting, Grandpa said, squeezing Tyree's hand. And then Tyree stood alone with brushes, paint, and trash. He wasn't alone for long, though. We can help, neighbors called. Your colors and dots chased away those thieves. They shoveled, swept, and hauled in new trash. Then, after 8 years of painting and rebuilding, neighbors heard wreckers screech a second time. Tyree's faces of God watched while the city crushed 2 more houses. No! Yelled Tyree. Tyree and his neighbors were hopping mad. This street is ours, they said. We'll never quit. They marched downtown to tell their story to a judge and jury. The city argued that Heidelberg Street was a garbage dump. No, decided the court, it is art. Tyree's work survived. The next day, Tyree and his neighbors began anew, aiming their brushes like magic wands. Children sang as they hammered and spattered designs. Even former troublemakers returned, ready to rake, sweep, and build. United by trash, they cast a spell on the street, brightening their homes for good. Word of Heidelberg Street spread far. It blazed across the air. Folks from Canada, Kenya, and Japan scurried to see the neighborhood. They stared. Wow, look at that! And Tyree waved his brush. Welcome. In the warm breeze, dots danced. Gleaming cast-offs jangled and jumped. Let rockets fly, boards tower high. Bounce, jump, and dance, magic trash. And I want to read you this note at the end that talks about how this story is true. Magic Trash is based on the life and art of painter and sculptor Tyree Guyton. In 2011, the Heidelberg Project celebrated its 25th anniversary. Tyree continues to work on Heidelberg Street and travels internationally to lecture and assist with installations of community art. Have you ever had something that really mattered to you treated like it was just some trash? In that story, Tyree Guyton cares about the neighborhood where he grew up, the neighborhood where his family still lives and works. But other people are treating that neighborhood like trash, dumping things and not taking care of the houses. And people are even using the abandoned houses to do bad things. Tyree was able to make a difference not just by getting rid of the trash that was dumped in his neighborhood, but by using it to show people the magic that was already there. He turned that trash into something beautiful and precious and showed people that his neighborhood really mattered, that it shouldn't be taken for granted or torn down, but should be preserved because it's a beautiful place with beautiful people in it. So, I have an idea.
Okay.
So we've been talking about ways to use trash, to use things that don't seem like they have a purpose, things that seem like junk, to make some magic.
Magic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I have all of this recycling that I retrieved from our recycling.
From ours.
So I bet you that we could make an instrument from every instrument family using just these materials.
Okay, now remind me what the three instrument, or all the instrument families are.
Well, I bet you they remember. Do you remember what the instrument families are? Let's see. There are the ones that you blow,
Okay.
and we call those the wind family.
Yes.
And we have the ones that you hit or shake or scrape, and those are a word that starts with the letter P.
P. Is that percussion?
P is
that
for
you're thinking
percussion.
of? Okay.
And then we have the ones with strings on them, and those are the string family.
Okay.
So we're going to challenge ourselves to make a wind instrument and a string instrument and a percussion instrument with these things that we found in our recycling.
All right.
Are you ready?
With these things here, cans and bottles and things.
Mm-hmm. We have cans and bottles. We have some cardboard.
And they've all been cleaned and washed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We're going to see what we can do. What did you come up with?
I came up with some wind instruments and some percussion.
Oh, I can't wait to see.
Okay, what do you want to hear? I'll show you my percussion first, because it's the simplest. I took this can and I put a metal bottle top and a plastic bottle top, and
Oh, that's a noisy shaker.
a noisy shaker.
Yeah,
I
it has
like
sort of
that.
a singing sound.
And then these bottles I used, I've got 2 plastic ones and I've got 2 glass ones. And do you want to hear them?
I do, but I have to ask you, are those just empty bottles?
No, they're not. They have water in them. They have water in them. So this one's got water up to about here. You see it? And this has got just a little bit of water in it. And would you like to hear how it sounds
I would.
with just a little bit of water in it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's like a foghorn.
Do you want to hear it with no water at all?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to drink this.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if it'll be any different. Very similar.
Very similar.
Okay. Now this one's got, it's more than halfway full. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think it's going to be, a higher note or a lower note?
Let's see. There's more water, and I always think that bigger means lower.
Lower. But
So I'm thinking it might be lower.
Yeah, there's less space here.
Oh, so the water got bigger, but the space got smaller. I'm really curious to see.
Let's find out.
It's much higher.
Yeah,
Let's hear the
wanna
low
hear
one
it
again.
Oh, I got to blow across it.
There it is. So it's about the amount of space, not the amount of water.
Okay.
Can we hear the glass ones?
Yes. Now this glass one, it's a smaller bottle, and it's filled just to about here. Want to hear that first?
Mhm.
Okay.
I think that's the highest
Of
yet,
the 3,
right?
that's my highest. Yep. So it's lower in the bottle, but I think there's still less space for air to flow.
Mhm.
Okay. And then this one, the water is, you see it? It's just about here. Oh, wait. Seems a bit lower.
A little bit lower.
A little bit.
That sounds like Do and Re to me.
Want to hear this one?
And
low, like in the down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Wow, so those are your wind instruments, and you showed us percussion. I also found a few different percussion instruments.
Let's see.
I found this box that you can open and close.
Okay.
That's sort of a hitting, but also a scraping sound. And you could actually,
It sounds different on the different sides.
on the different sides,
Okay.
yeah. And then I made a shaker too.
Let's hear it.
I put some bottle caps inside this mayonnaise jar.
Oh, beautiful.
And I found lots of things that I could put together of different sizes. And I was thinking I could make sort of a drum set, which maybe you might
really
have had
fun.
that idea too.
When I saw all the different things, I thought that.
It's hard to keep them all in place, but they all make different noises.
That's a lot of fun. I like that.
And then I want to show you my string instrument. I tried putting rubber bands on a lot of different things. I put some on little containers. Earlier I tried putting some rubber bands on aluminum cans.
How do those sound?
Well, they all have different noises, and it was fun to experiment with. This one,
Yeah, that's low.
and if I pull it a little bit further, it really changes the sound.
It sure does.
So that gave me the idea, how could I make an instrument that could make more than one sound?
Let's see.
So I found this box that still has the sides attached, and I put a rubber band around it. Now I can play it in the middle like this,
Yeah.
but I can also play it on these side parts, and I can open and close them.
Oh, this just by moving that cardboard flap there.
Just by moving the flap open and shut, it makes the string tighter and looser. So I have both sides that I could play that on, plus the middle. So that was my string instrument.
That sounds great.
I bet if we put these all together, we could really make some music.
I'd like to hear that.
And I bet you could too. So let's make some music.
I'm ready.
So this song has a form that a lot of songs have, which is
Okay.
called a 12-bar blues. And a 12-bar blues only uses 3 chords.
Okay, what are they?
Well, for this song, it's going to be C and F and G.
Okay.
And those chords actually get the numbers 1, 4, and 5.
Okay.
So I'm going to say those numbers, and you're going to hear me play the chords. And I'm just going to go once around so you can hear what it sounds like.
Okay.
So here's the 1. Here comes the 4. Back to the 1. Here comes the 5, 4, 1. 5.
Wow.
So that's a 12-bar blues.
Okay.
And we realized...
Well, it turns out that my wind instruments here, which we actually calibrated them to match your notes that you're playing, we can blow on them. So
Mhm.
why don't you tell me one number? Like
Okay, let's do 1.
1 is
The C.
Okay.
I think this is actually your
Okay.
C.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay.
Okay. Nice. Can you add the A in for this 4?
Want to do it again?
Yeah. And then give us the C. Nice. Can you give us your G?
I can.
A?
We also learned that this can be a percussion instrument. And if we hit them, they're the same.
They'll sound the same tones.
Okay,
Can
so-
we hear that?
Yes, let's
All
hear
right.
the one. Oh, is it?
Funnily enough, we made your 5 a low 5 instead of a high 5.
Oh.
So they actually go in this order of the song, even though this one's higher than that one.
All right, so this is my one.
Yeah.
Okay. Same.
Yeah. Bring in that
Nice.
4.
Same.
Back to 1. And the 5. 4. And then 1. Up to the 5.
It really works.
It really works. So this blues song that we're going to play was from another greening up, cleaning up effort that
Okay.
happened in the 1960s and 70s. So this song was written by Pete Seeger, who's written a
Yes.
lot of famous
Yeah.
songs. And it was from a time when the Hudson River in New York was especially dirty and full of trash. And there was a movement of people getting together and trying to clean up the river. And they actually had a sailboat that they would sail up and down the river, spreading this message and gathering people together to work on cleaning it up.
Okay.
And so part of the work they did was to sing. And singing was a way to bring people to the boat and to
Spread
kind of
the
explain,
message.
spread the message, explain what
Got
they were
it.
trying to do. Shall we play it?
I'm ready.
All right.
So there's your one, yes?
There's my one. And this song has a little bit of a call and response, but
Okay.
it's a little bit funny because sometimes the response is the same and sometimes it's the opposite.
Oh, my friends are good at that.
Okay,
They can
ready?
do that. Yes.
Sailing up,
Sailing up,
sailing down,
sailing down,
up,
down.
down, up and down the river, sailing on. Stopping all along the way, sailing up, sailing up. The river may be dirty now, but it's getting cleaner every day. Garbage here,
Garbage here,
garbage there,
garbage there,
here,
there.
there, up and down the river, sailing on. Stopping all along the way, sailing up, sailing up. The river may be dirty now, but it's getting cleaner every day. Catching fish,
Catching fish,
singing songs,
singing songs,
fish,
songs.
songs, up and down the river, sailing on. Stopping all along the way, sailing up, sailing up. The river may be dirty now, but it's getting cleaner every day. We can sing, we can dance,
We can dance,
sing,
dance,
dance, up and down the river, sailing on. Stopping all along the way, sailing up, sailing up. The river may be dirty now, but it's getting cleaner every day. Say hello,
say hello,
say goodbye,
say goodbye.
hello,
Goodbye.
goodbye.
Hello.
Up and down the river, sailing on. Stopping all along the way, sailing up, sailing up. The river may be dirty now, but it's getting cleaner every day. The river may be dirty now, but it's getting cleaner every day.
I want to tell you about another way that people have used trash and recycling to make magic in our community.
How's that?
Well, at the Heinsberg Community School, they've made some beautiful hanging sculptures out of plastic bottles and things like that, and they've made some beautiful panels that are made out of lids from Tupperwares and milk bottles and things like that.
Wow, look at those. driving by and you wouldn't even know that they were made out of trash or recycling. They just are really beautiful art.
They are.
Well, this has been fun. And we got to do so many things. We picked up trash. We used trash to make some music. We saw some art made out of trash. And I hope that the kids will find something to do, whether it's greening up their home or greening up their community or using some recycling to make some magic.
I think they will. They are very creative.
They're very, very creative. I hope when they do, they'll send us pictures or videos of what they make.
I can't wait to see.
Have fun!
Bye, everybody. Bye.